Hello there, good day to you. I'm wondering today about wokeism. I've just woken up and I don't know really, I've heard this term sort of bounded around. It kind of got introduced with a whole load of other slang terms that I don't really understand. Is there like a woke left and a woke right, or is it like that wokeists are just lefties, or is it that there is a kind of distinction between sort of like, you know, post woke or like ex woke, or like people that were woke and aren't anymore, or you know, how do you tell if you are woke? What I guess dawningly kind of occurred to me is that I might be a bit woke, and I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I want to be kind of part of this demographic. What does everyone else think that woke means to them? Why don't you leave a comment? Tell me if you reckon I'm woke, and if woke's good or bad, and if there's a woke left or a woke right. I don't know. Here's the bit where I read some content which I didn't create to make my videos more interesting. Understanding the woke movement. Let's get into it. The term woke has evolved significantly over time, becoming multifaceted and often contentious concept in contemporary discourse. Sorry, I've just brushed my teeth and my meds make my speech a bit bad. Here's a breakdown to help you understand it, along with a balanced perspective on its characteristics and impact. What exactly is the woke movement? The term woke originated in African American vernacular English, AAVE, first appearing in the 1930s. Initially, it meant being aware of racial prejudice and discrimination, and was often used in the phrase "stay woke" as a caution to black individuals about systemic injustices, particularly in the American South. Folk singer Leadbelly used it in 1938, advising people to stay woke, keep their eyes open when travelling through certain areas. I didn't know that. By the 2010s, especially with the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement in 2014, Stay Woke gained wider popularity as a call to action and awareness against police brutality and systemic racism. Over time, its meaning broadened to encompass a heightened awareness of other social inequalities and injustices, including sexism, LGBTQ plus rights, ableism, and environmental issues. In its current broader sense, woke often refers to an ideology centered on social justice, politics, critical race theory, and identity politics, particularly on the American left. It signifies being alert to and challenging dominant paradigms and striving for a more equitable society. Discernible traits of woke people. Whilst it's important to avoid generalizations, individuals often described as woke or aligned with woke ideology tend to exhibit several common traits. Heightened awareness of social injustices. So, core characteristic is a strong consciousness of systemic inequalities that might be based around race, gender, sexual orientation, class, or other things, and also historical oppression that might have taken place. Advocacy for marginalised group, a commitment to supporting and amplifying the voices of those who have been historically marginalised or discriminated against. Emphasis on identity politics, a focus on how various aspects of one's identity, race, gender, and sexuality intersect to create unique experiences or privilege or of privilege or oppression. Intersectionality. Challenging power structures, a tendency to, that should say, critically examine and question existing societal norms, institutions, and power dynamics that are perceived to perpetuate injustice. Desire for systemic change, a belief that surface level changes are insufficient and that fundamental societal structures need to be dismantled or reformed to achieve true equality. Promotion of inclusivity and diversity, a strong emphasis on creating inclusive environments and promoting diversity in all spheres, from workplaces to education. Self-reflection and bias recognition. Many who embrace wokeness value critical thinking, independent thought, and a willingness to challenge their own biases and assumptions. Language sensitivity, attention to language and terminology, aiming to use inclusive and respectful terms, and critiquing language seen as perpetuating harmful stereotypes or biases. Balancing the good and the bad features. Like any broad social phenomenon, the woke movement has both received positive and negative aspects. Has both perceived, that's an interesting contextual use of the word perceived, the good, The increased awareness, it's undeniably brought crucial attention to historical and ongoing injustices, pushing uncomfortable but necessary conversations into the mainstream. Advocacy for the vulnerable. If it champions the rights and well-beings of marginalised communities, leading to efforts for greater inclusion and equality, promotion of empathy and compassion. At its best, woke culture encourages understanding, empathy and solidarity with those experiencing discrimination and hardship. Driving policy changes. The movement has contributed to concrete policy changes such as increased policing accountability, diversity and inclusion initiatives in institutions, and greater protection for LGBTQ+ rights. Challenging the status quo, it pushes societies to confront uncomfortable truths about their past and present, fostering a drive for continuous improvement in human rights and social fairness. Empowerment of marginalised voices, it provides platforms and validates the experience of those who have historically been silenced. The bad criticisms of wokeism is that it's perceived extremist and dogmatic. Critics argue that wokeness can sometimes lead to rigid dogma, intolerance of dissenting views, and an us versus them mentality, making open dialogue difficult. Cancel culture, the intense scrutiny, public condemnation of individuals or entities deemed to have violated woke principles can lead to disproportionate consequences, stifling free speech and encouraging self-censorship. Divisiveness. Some argue that its focus on identity politics and historical grievances can exacerbate divisions rather than fostering unity, particularly by emphasising group identity over individual merit. Performative activism. Critics point to instances where wokeness appears to be more about virtue signalling or performative gestures, for example, social media hashtags, rather than tangible, impactful change. Overreach and absurdity. Instances of what some perceive as woke excess, such as extreme interpretations of concepts like white privilege or the policing of minor linguistic infractions, can alienate potential allies and undermine the movement's broader goals. Moral myopia. Some argue that woke ideology can lead to a narrow focus on certain oppressions while overlooking other forms of disadvantage or ignoring complexities in human experience. Lack of clear definition. The amorphous nature of the term and its fluid application make it difficult to engage in constructive criticism or define clear goals, leading to confusion and misuse. Is it a movement or just a societal buzzword? The reality is that woke functions as both. As a movement, it represents a genuine, albeit decentralised movement driven by people who are deeply concerned about social justice, systemic inequalities, and the need for a more inclusive society. It encompasses various advocacy groups, academic theories like critical race theory, and grassroots activism aims at enacting real change. The original intention of staying woke was indeed a call to vigilance and action, but as a buzzword, simultaneously woke has become a highly politicised buzzword, particularly used by the conservative media and politicians. In this context, it often serves as a pejorative label to dismiss progressive ideas, policies, or individuals. It's used to marginalise specific viewpoints and to rally support against perceived threats to the status quo, frequently associated with cancel culture or political correctness. This weaponisation of the term often obscures its original meaning and the legitimate concerns it addresses. Am I woke? As an AI, I do not have access to your personal YouTube channel activity, your private Gemini activity, or any other personal data that would allow me to form an opinion on your beliefs or identity. My purpose is to provide information and assist you based on the queries you provide in our current interaction. Therefore, I cannot tell you whether you're woke, whether or not someone identifies as woke or is perceived as such. It's a personal, subjective assessment, often based on their individual beliefs, actions, and how they engage with social media and political issues. It's up to you to reflect on the information provided and decide if the characteristics and values associated with wokeness resonate with your own perspective. It's like this weird thing with Gemini where it says it can't access, like it can access, Gemini works with Google Workspace, right? So you can say like, give me a summary of all these files on Google Drive, and it will write you a summary of all the Google Docs that you've got in a Google Drive folder. You can ask it, I asked it yesterday about topics and themes using the desktop widget in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. There's a little purple thing you can click on with Gemini Pro subscription, and it can watch all your YouTube videos and tell you the content of them and what would be good progressively. And it seems to somehow say that it can't access Like, I'm sure it can Google my name on social media, and I'm sure it can access my Google Drive, because it has done. I'm sure it can access my Google Docs. I'm really disappointed. I don't know if I'm woke or not. Maybe I'm asleep. Maybe I'm asleep. Maybe I'm awake. I don't know. Who cares anyway? Cheers.